Life speaks. It speaks through struggles and success, through music and messages, the preconceived and the unexpected. Whether you are in the depths of the valley or in the midst of your mountaintop experience, everyone needs to be encouraged from time to time. You've tuned in to ALH Broadcasting, and this is Andrea Hines, your host for When Life Speaks. I'm glad you accepted the invitation to connect with us as we share stories of strength, testimonies of triumph, observations, and information meant to touch the heart and uplift the soul. There's something in this broadcast just for you, and if it's a blessing to your life, it just may be for someone else as well. So tag, share, invite someone, then turn down the volume of life and get ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you speak life. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to When Life Speaks. I thank you for joining me tonight. I am glad you are here. We have an exciting show planned for you, and I just can hardly wait. I can hardly contain myself because I'm really excited about what we've got going on tonight. And thank you for being with us. Thank you for being here. We've been doing some very different, I won't say different things, but kind of special things when we started off 2026. And one of the things that I wanted to be sure that we did was not only acknowledge the other hosts on ALH Broadcasting and their programs, but to just let you know a little bit more about them. So we've been doing something called Let Me Introduce You. And what we've done is we've been bringing on our hosts for Under Construction. Pastor Steve has been on with us. We've had Lynn from Out of the Box. She has come on. Andrea out of South Carolina, who does Whole and Beautiful, has been on as well. We have a couple of more that we are going to do and allow you to get to know maybe some things about them that you may not have known before. And right in the midst of all of that and all of that was happening, we had some great news with coming forward from a friend of ours. We'll call him a friend of ours because we started kind of following him. I had two filmmakers, and we were going to follow the filmmakers and see what their process was and see the ups and downs. We never get to go behind the scenes. We're always looking at the finished product, but there is so much that happens, so much work, so much sacrifice, so much going on that we never get to talk about and never get to know. So we chose Christopher Bailey as one of those people that we were going to follow, and we were going to see just how his project was doing, what his process was in getting things together. And we started on December the 5th, 2024, and we just talked to him about what he was doing, how he was doing it, and then followed him to his premiere of his movie, Let It Play. We brought him back on, and he told us some more about what was happening, what happened the night of the premiere, what was working, what wasn't working, and it was just an exciting time all the way around. Well, guess what? That was only the tip of the iceberg, because after that, we got a little note, and that note said, hey, Let It Play is showing on Tubi. And we are really excited that was happening for him. Before I bring him on, I want you to see this flyer. You see that? You see that number over to the right? My right, your left maybe? And that number is 1.5 million views in 7 days. We had started out, I think it was like 3,400, and from 3,400. We went into the thousands, and the number just kept climbing and kept climbing and kept climbing. And I called one day just to congratulate him and chat for a minute. And I said, I hope you're ready to mark the million. And I had no idea he had already surpassed it. So I'm really, really happy to have Christopher Neill Bailey Sr. on with us tonight, and we're going to talk about that final phase. We moved from the premiere and moved into Tubi. So, good evening to you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
You know I couldn't do anything else. I am so grateful that you had time to be with us tonight, and I'm
Absolutely.
just so happy to celebrate with you and with the cast and with all of those who have been a part of this amazing journey, because it has been an amazing journey. And when I saw the number, I sent Christopher an email, and I said, "Are you breathing?"
Catching my breath. Catching my breath.
catching, catching your breath all the way. So
Yes,
we're gonna just chat a little bit tonight, Christopher, because there's some things that I did not cover with you that I really really want to cover with you regarding this process and everything that happened in bringing this film to fruition. One of the things that we did not talk about, because there were some really scary moments uh, in getting all of this together and being able to have the premiere and all of those things. But one thing that we never really talked about was how you selected the cast.
yes, ma'am.
How did you do that? Did you have open auditions? Did you, just talk to people that you knew who were in the industry, or what did you do?
Somewhat. You know, again, the first of all, thank you so much for having me. I truly, truly appreciate it. Again, I say this because I often make sure I say this that before I get into any kind of dialogue or conversation, it was no God for
Yeah.
this whole entire process. I made that promise years ago, and I'm going to hold to it because anytime I get an opportunity to speak on a platform, those are the first three words I'm going to speak. Um, this movie, it started with a school project, and so I really just met with a few actors that I knew that was helping me to actually do a school project, and so some of those actors were some of the ones that I selected to be a part of the overall movie. Then it was somewhat of an audition. I didn't really do an open call audition. I've honestly never really done a lot of that. And I know that that's probably going to change moving forward. But most of my casting has been with me meeting certain actors and talking with certain actors and just getting a feel for them and who they are. And I'm like, you fit the role, you fit the character. And so it's really just from that perspective. And of course it comes from pulling from some of the acting pools that I've been in and some of the circles that I've been in. And I've worked with a few of these individuals before. And then some of them I just kind of seen, like Wanda, for example, who played my ex-wife in the film. I saw her on TikTok. I've worked with her in a previous production where I was serving as a production assistant. Uh, but I really got to know her from her TikToks. And so
Mm.
one day I reached out to him like, "Hey, I love your work," and stuff like that. And we began to talk and chat. And so I remembered her. And then one of the TikToks that she did, I was like, she could really play this role that I have. And so I reached out to her and she said yes. And so even like with Tehran, with Lee, uh, he just kind of fit the bill of one of the actors he played Michael in the movie. And I reached out to him and he was like, I would love the opportunity. So it was kind of like that. But moving forward, um, I would more than likely have casting calls and open casting calls. But every now and then, it doesn't hurt to just kind of go with your gut and be like, I want you.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And it is so, you are so intent on giving people the opportunity. And I think that is so important. And that opportunity is coming through in different ways for them, because I think you've got something coming up on the, is it the 6th of February?
Yes, ma'am. So
Uh,
there's a
tell us about that. What's happening then?
yes, ma'am. So it's another podcast. It's a group of guys we've gotten together. Lou Bennett, shout out to Lou, and Larry Dudson, uh, putting together a podcast. And so we began to talk about the process of doing that. And I told them, I actually had a call with them today, well, with Larry today. And I was like, I wanted to highlight the actors. Granted, God blessed me to be able to do the movie, and that's cool, and I don't mind talking about it, but they're the stars of the show. And so I wanted to highlight them and give them opportunities to kind of talk and share about their experiences and how the film, worked for them, what they gained from it, things of that nature. And, give them exposure, because who knows, somebody might be looking for, a particular talent, and they see them, they've seen the movie, and so they see them on a podcast, and maybe that might be their opportunity that they need to kind of do other great things.
Hmm. And I'm really very happy that we're going to follow this through. And so after that podcast, the crew, some of the cast rather, will be
Yes,
coming back
yes, yes,
to When Life
yes,
Speaks
yes,
on
absolutely.
Thursday, the 19th of February. So you all mark that on your calendars now
Yes.
as well. Good evening to you, Linda. Thank you for being with us. Dr. Paula Obi is on the line. Victoria Henderson is also on the line. Sean Bailey saying congratulations, cousin is on the line.
That's my cousin. Yeah.
Torian Lee has joined us. Valerie Sims has joined us as well.
Wow.
I thank all of you for being here tonight and for celebrating with Christopher, because it's time for celebration. It
Yes,
is
ma'am.
time for celebration. A lot has gone on. A lot has gone into this, and I want to ask you just a few questions tonight,
Sure.
Chris. What would you do differently?
Wow. That's a really a great question, and honestly, looking back on it, I don't think I would change anything. Uh,
Wow.
I really don't, because I've learned so many lessons from this experience that will help me in my next project, that if I was to go back and change some things, I probably wouldn't learn those lessons. So honestly, I wouldn't change anything. I mean, there's some things in the movie that, when I'm sitting and I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I probably could have shot that better. Yeah, I probably could have edited that better. You know, things of that nature. You might want to go back and, clean those up or change that a little bit. But I don't really think that I would change anything, because again, the lessons that I've learned from that experience, I don't think I would have learned them if I changed anything.
What's the greatest one? What is the lesson that you've learned that that I don't care what project you do going forward, I don't care what is next on the horizon for it, but this particular lesson, uh, whether it's I'll always do it or I'll never do it again,
Yeah.
what, what would that lesson be?
Well, one thing is for sure, coming down to a budget, I will never commit to agreeing to work with somebody until I see the money in the bank.
Okay.
And it's a sign to me. I'm not, that was probably the biggest headache of my life when that happened. And I mean, God bless the gentleman. I mean, I'm not speaking anything negative about him in particular, but the situation, right? The situation, and you hit me with the I ain't got it. You're like, and we're in the middle of filming, and you was like, hey, I put in the requisition, hey sir, listen, we need money for XYZ, and then you hit me with the, yeah, I ain't got it. Like, wait a minute, what you mean? So I think that honestly, that would be the biggest lesson, only because it put us in a situation. The situation really could have been bad. Thankfully, I was able to kind of manage a lot of it, because a lot of it I was kind of doing myself. But
Mhm.
had I hired a larger crew, now I'm indebted. I'm in a situation where, that could have really been ugly, renting equipment and having to pay for equipment that you rented to be able to do certain things. Then I would have really been in a serious situation. Thankfully, a lot of the equipment I already had, so
Mhm.
it wasn't really on me. But even still, it did kind of hurt me a little bit, because I had some people that I have to pay, and things of that nature. But it could have been a lot worse.
Yeah.
It could have definitely been a lot worse.
Yeah. I want to ask you something because I find it happens with us as writers, and it's not usually a question. I don't think that those involved with producing something like you did, that they have the opportunity or even want to. They may not even want to address, But when as a writer and as an author, I got a story and I got to get that story on paper and I write that story and then I've got to have somebody to edit it and I've got to have going to get me some beta readers and they're going to read it and they're going to tell me what they think works and doesn't work and got to get the right publisher, got to get the right publisher. But if you're not with a big publishing house, the one thing that you really do not think about is marketing.
Right.
You just
Right.
don't think about it. So here you've got this great story, and you're telling it, and you got your actors, you got your cast, you got your rehearsal schedule. You're working all of these through. You get it filmed. You have a wonderful premiere, and the premiere was just fantastic. But now I understand all of those names at the beginning of the credits
Yes, ma'am.
because somehow this film has to be distributed. And you
Right.
said something about distribution the other day when we were talking, and I thought, oh my gosh, we never think about that. So,
Right.
how did Let It Play get to Tubi?
So I was trying to go the independent route on my own, and upload it to, it's like a film, it's called Film Hub, and I was going to do it myself. But honestly, sometimes, I hear Bishop say a lot, I'm the smartest person in the room, because I acknowledge that I'm not the smartest person in the room. And I realized that those were some things that I just really didn't understand. And so there was a young lady by she goes by AO, but her name is Alpha, and she's part of global distribution. And so she reached out, and she, I guess, saw the trailer, and so I sent her some information, and then she reached out to her team, and which is Global Pictures Distribution, and so they reached out, and they loved the film, and so they told me that they would, work with us in terms of getting it on streaming platforms. So Tubi is just one of many streaming platforms that they work with. So we are looking for Let It Play to be on multiple streaming platforms coming soon, right? But they took it through the process. They have their own internal process that they ran us through, and we got our date. Now, when it came down to marketing, of course, we had a marketing strategy, but during the holidays, things get slowed down and backed up a little bit. So we kind of had to wait. So we were kind of on the I guess on the back end of our marketing, in terms of being behind. So technically, we didn't really get a chance to really market it for real like we wanted to, because of the date, which is why I go back to saying God is so good, because this was organic growth that God created. We was kind of behind in our marketing, trying to catch up to everything. And, God just did it. And once we got the date, and then we got like a promo done, and then we was able to kind of put the promo out there and different things like that. But behind that, I'm sending out text messages, Instagram messages, Facebook Messenger. I'm kind of doing those things, just trying to get the word out to everybody that I know about the movie. But we didn't really get a chance to market it like we wanted to because, of the time that the movie came out. And I'm not opposed to the groundwork, because when I used to do plays back home, my mom would tell you, I would go to Kinko's, I'd print off about 500 flyers back in the day, and I go to the church parking lot, putting them on cars, on cars and the shopping mall, and wherever. I'm out there just doing it. So for me, it was like, hey, go back to what you remember doing. Keep hustling, keep grinding, keep doing it. Share it on social media, then print some flyers out. Get the word out. When you in the barbershop, when you're in the grocery store, hey, you heard about my movie? And you never know. So that's kind of how the marketing thing happened. But ultimately, you want to have a marketing budget because it's important, because it's going to be your reach. But even with your marketing, you can't just sit and depend on that. My mentor was telling me today, look, you can't sit on this one success. Don't build no memorial on this one success. You take this, you're like, okay, yeah, all right, so we did this. It created 1.5 million. Okay, so how can I create 2.5 million? How can I create 5 million? Just build off of that success. So you never stop grinding. I'm constantly sending out messages today, sending out messages. I got some flyers that I'm printing, and when I go to Sheets and get gas, and I'm like, hey, check out our movie. It's that kind of groundwork, because you have to do it. If you don't believe in your project enough to put in the work, then you don't deserve the work.
Oh, wow. Good point. Very good point. Very good point. Lynn, thanks for joining tonight. I see a new name coming in. And Beatrice Scott, thank you for being with us as well. You were talking about always, pretty much, you didn't say it this way, but always being sure to give God the glory. And when you began talking about how global productions and that was coming about, she put in the comment section, favor.
Amen. Absolutely.
Favor. And I tell you, when we were talking early on, and we kind of laughed about it today, because we didn't know what was going to happen. I just knew, and you talk about the importance of believing in yourself and believing in your project. And you and I had worked together, and we had talked about different projects and different things. And when I found out you were doing this, I really believe that part of my assignment here on this good old planet, God has blessed me to have this platform, and I want to be sure that I'm using it the way that He wants me to use it, and doing the things that He wants me to do with it. Because there are some people that won't get the opportunity. And it's not that their work isn't good.
Right.
And it's not that they haven't taken the time. And it's not that they're not trying to work in excellence. It's not any of those things. Sometimes it's just the timing. Sometimes there are things that just aren't made available to them. And we have, whenever I hear you talk about your projects, you're always very, very cognizant of those who are working with you.
Absolutely.
And I am very cognizant of making sure that I support, that this is a platform that will support. So, and just like you were saying, it's not the one thing. You can't rest.
No, ma'am.
You can't rest now.
No,
So the fact that the cast is having this opportunity on February 5th, and you and I were talking, and I said, okay, this really, really transcends into what I've been doing with the let me introduce you. So let me take this platform and give and have the opportunity or take the opportunity to introduce them, because
Absolutely.
this is not going to be the first or the second or the third or the
Right.
fourth
Right.
podcast that they're going to do, or streaming platform that they're going to be on. And the more you do them, the more relaxed you get, the better you get, the more you like it, the more you enjoy it. And to be a part of that kind of process, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for all that you have been able to do and will continue to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Paula Obi says God's timing is always on time. It's about
Absolutely.
timing. Angie O down in South Carolina is saying the same thing: timing, timing.
Yeah.
We,
It's important.
but there is the second part of that uh, is preparation. The
Yes.
third part of that is process. So we've been talking, and we've been talking about the process and all of the things that you were doing and how you were working and the sacrifices that are made whenever you go into this kind of venture. I can come on Thursday night, and if nobody's here but me, I'm good. Somebody comment, and I'll talk to whoever it is. I'm good with that. But when you're talking about, and we discussed this even because we had thought about having the cast on tonight, and I said no, because I want to make sure that we have ample time to actually talk to them and
Yes.
find out how they feel, and,
Yes.
and what's going through their head, and maybe something that is coming up for them.
Yeah.
So we said no, we'll put it off, and with the podcast that you already have in place in early February, we said, well, let's come back, let's bring them back, and give them an opportunity, because there's always that thing you meant to do,
Yeah. Yeah.
that
Yeah.
thing you meant to say,
Yeah.
just like you were talking about, looking at
Yeah.
the movie, going, I could have
Yeah.
done that a little differently.
It's when I started Be Creative years ago back home in Kentucky. Uh, I started it, and I just told God that there's so many actors and talented people that they want to do certain things and they don't get the opportunity to do it. And I said, God, I wanted to create a company that I could give people opportunities to live their dream and do the thing that they love. And there were some actors that maybe have never really acted before, or this is like maybe their first movie that they've ever been in. It's an experience that they'll remember forever. And so I want to just be able to have something to be able to do that, because it may be a dream of somebody just to be in one film. You never know. So I want to be able to do that. The other thing in terms of the cast and the crew, they're the ones that make the film. The actors are the one. I wasn't really supposed to be in it. I was supposed to be behind the camera, but things happened where it had to be that way. But I wanted the actors to really get their opportunity, because they made the film. They're the ones that people look at and recognize and identify with and all that. So, it's them, and I celebrate them. I celebrate the crew, because if it wasn't for the crew that was helping with the lights, with the makeup, when we did have makeup, and, the microphones and the cameras, those people are important. Without them, there's no film. And I always want to be mindful to recognize them as like a family, as my crew, as my people, as my village, as my they're part of that, because we're together the bulk of the time during this process, and you kind of become family. So treat them as such and love them. That was my mom's biggest thing: treat people right, period. Because if you don't, that's going to come back on you later.
So true.
Yeah, so that's, and can I just say this? And I know when we get to working with the cast and interviewing the cast, you're probably going to deal with this. But there are some things when you're directing and acting that you give actors instructions. Right now, I tell this story because I told Wanda every chance I get, I'm going to tell this story. So if she's watching, Wanda, I told you I'm going to tell this story every time I get opportunity, I'm going to tell it. So in the movie, in the scene where Kennedy is sitting on the couch, and his ex-wife comes in, well, his wife at the time, she comes in, she's got the bills in her hand, everything like that. So during filming, I gave Wanda instructions. I said, Wanda, I said, when you come in, I want you to kind of toss the bills on the couch, so I can pick them up and fan them, because I'm looking at something. So I want to kind of drop that and, kind of grab the bills and kind of be able to kind of fan them like that, right? So these are the instructions. Come in, toss the bills on the couch, I grab them, whatever. So Wanda really got into character, like really got into character. And she comes in, and I'm sitting there. I'm in my zone, trying to make sure I'm prepared for the lines when she comes in. And when she throws those bills at me, I wasn't really expecting her to throw them at me. And I kind of forgot my lines, because when they hit me, I was thinking like, what, I kind of forgot what I was supposed to say. So I'm trying to, and I look at her, and like, she's in character, she's there. So I'm like, I can't stop, because I'm going to bring her out of character, and I don't want to mess up this moment. So I have to kind of reel myself back in and say, okay, Chris, go with her because she's there. But afterwards, I was like, why did you throw them bills at me? And she said, I was in character. I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. But that's the joy of the directing and acting process, when moments like that happen. And we laughed about it because it was so funny. But that's probably some people's favorite scene, because it was like, she was really pissed about you not paying them bills, and it played out the way it was supposed to. But during the time of shooting it, I kind of want to say, look, who in the are you throwing this at? But we laugh about that now, because it was like, it was such an organic moment. And it's those kind of things that makes acting so beautiful, and especially when you're working with talent that you can enjoy, and they enjoy what they do, and you enjoy what you're doing, and you can just make beautiful movies when you're in those kind of spaces.
And it's interesting, because today, when we were talking about doing some things, and how we were going to plan this them coming back on, and being on, and it was interesting, because you just kept saying the title of the movie over and over again. Just let it play.
Yeah.
Just let it play.
Just let it play out. You just gotta let it play out. Just gotta let it play out. I've had so many men reach out to me and talk to me about the film, and talk about how it was important to see, their side, their struggle, their tears, and crying in the closet, and different things of that nature. And people talking about how important it is that they go home and have conversations about co-parenting, having conversations about how we interact with one another in front of the kids, and when the kids are listening and we don't think they're listening, and how I allow my business to become more important than my wife, and I'm not spending time. So it's all these kind of conversations that are happening because people have seen this film. And that's beautiful, when the story is relatable and people can actually have conversation. May not be the exact issue, but it's an issue that they can talk about that may change the trajectory of their relationship or their marriage in a positive way, because now they're seeing it, being played out, and maybe they didn't see it, in the everyday actions of life. So that's a beautiful thing, when you can create something that people can relate to and glean from.
Yes, it really, really is. Now, I'm going to ask you something that you may or may not be able to answer.
Oh boy.
But I'm gonna do it anyway.
Well, the Hines, is this on the hot seat? You put him on the hot seat.
No, I never did anything like that. But I do want to ask you because there's always something else. There's always something more,
Yes.
and we don't always get to it. Sometimes so much has been riding on the line. So much has been poured into. Uh, Sometimes there's a lot of pain when things don't manifest the way that you hope that they will. Uh, some there's just a lot. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as they used to say. It's not a
That's
phrase they use a lot anymore, but there's a lot, but you can't stop at that point on the climb. You
no,
know,
man.
you just can't stop. So I'm asking you tonight, what's next?
Wow. Well, we actually have 3 film projects that are on deck. Um, we have one that we hope to start after March of this year.
Mhm.
And then we have a web series that we are completing the first season of that. I think it's 6 seasons. I'm sorry, 6 episodes in season 1, and then we'll be working on season 2. And we're thinking it's going to be a series that's going to be about 3 seasons total.
Hmm.
And then we have another film. I have another film that I am completing that's dealing with a very sensitive topic, revolving around missing girls.
Oh wow,
So,
wow.
yeah,
Okay.
touching on real life issues, but creating a cinematic view to them so that people can see it, digest it, understand it, but also make some moves on it because it'll push you to a position of action. Hopefully, that's the goal. So we have those projects, and then of course, you know, who knows? Again, my mentor told me, don't build no memorial here because if
That-
you do, you're gonna die here. So
that-
it's a constant climb. So on to the next. This is beautiful. This is great. We celebrate it. We love it. But now we're on to the next.
well, I tell you what, I am so excited. I was excited for you before you were anywhere near 1.5 anything, and that wasn't even in the spotlight at the time. You know, when you first came on and we were talking.
I think when we hit 3,400, I was running around the house. I was like, oh my God, 3,400. That's amazing. I'm excited. I didn't think you could not have told me that this would happen in 7 days. I was just thinking like, oh, we're just going to have a couple hundred, a couple of thousand, maybe 100,000, maybe after a month, maybe, that was my thought process. And that goes to the point. We always think our plan is going to create XYZ. And God is like, all right, watch this. And
Yeah.
so throughout this process of the whole film process, there were so many moments and opportunities that happened where I had to literally rely on God because my plan completely went out the window. When our budget left, I didn't know what else to do. And God was like, just trust me. And if I could say anything to anybody that's watching, if you have a movie, a book, start a business or whatever it is, listen, when we make that statement, when we say, I believe God, I trust God, you got to put some action to that. Like, you can't just sing about it, talk about it, tell everybody else that you trust in God, and then you go home and worry about it. Like, you literally have to trust God and say, okay, God, you know what? I trust you. Because once the budget was gone and we was in the middle of filming, and I went to the cast and I went to the crew, and they was like, we still with you. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, God, the cast and the crew is still with me, but I don't know where we're going to film at. I don't know. We don't have this location, that location. And it's like, okay, God, I trust you. And we got locations that were given to us left and right. And God was directing me to say, go talk to this person, go talk to that person, go do this, go do that. Nothing was done of me just saying, all right, I'm gonna go do this. It wasn't. Everything was like God directed. Go here, do that, go here, do that. And so to those who are saying, I got a business, I got a vision, I got a dream, I got a goal. If God gave it to you, trust and believe He's already made the provision. You just have to trust the God that you say you trust and walk in that.
Yes, yes. And I tell you what, when you, it is scary when you let go.
Woo!
Scary when you let go. But when you let go,
My God.
that's when you really see the hand of God move.
My
And
God.
and I am so thankful that you allowed him to use you, that you were able to do what you did because of him, and you know it was because
Yeah.
of him.
Yeah,
There was something that I was getting ready to post, and I haven't posted it yet. Uh, but he was talking with me the other day, and just said, you cannot grab greater until you're willing to let go of what you had.
my
You
God.
never grab greater. And I thought, well, how many times have we been in those situations and things just didn't quite turn the way that we wanted them to or expected them to, and we stopped right there,
Right at the brink of
right
what
there,
He was getting ready
right
to do.
there.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we didn't go any farther. We got to that point and said, okay, well, I guess this isn't for me. I guess this isn't supposed to happen. And you said it right when you said, if he gave you the idea, if he gave you the vision, if he gave you the dream, if he gave you that passion for whatever it is, it might be baking a peach cobbler, which I must really want. But I mean, mention
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
whatever it happens to be, follow through. If he's not letting go, don't you let go.
Don't you let go. Elder
Don't
Hines, when you say that, you know, and here's the piece. When we lost the budget, there wasn't anything left for me to look at to say, okay, now I can do this, right? Or now I can try this, or now I can try that. All those resources, everything was gone. So
Yeah.
there was nothing for me to, put my hand on and say, okay, now I can try this. And I think if God would have shown me, Chris, you're gonna have 1.5 million views, right? If he'd have shown me that in the very beginning, oh, I'd have been trying everything I knew to make sure that we got these 1.5 million views or whatever. I've been trying to do everything, and then it'd have been like, I did it. And God was like, no, I'm not showing you nothing but this right here. Follow my voice. Go here. Do that. And I'm like, okay, I'm here. Now what? Talk to this person. It's like, I don't know if I told you about how we got the courthouse um, in the movie.
Yeah.
It was literally after we had lost the budget, and I was asking God. I'm like, okay, God, so where do I go? Because Melissa had shared with me that she was sharing me with her dates and saying that she was available on these dates and whatever. And so I'm trying to navigate, how to get her and maximize the time I have with her. So we're on the phone. I'm sorry. God was like, get in the car and go drive. Don't know where, just get in the car and go drive. So I got in the car, I was just driving. And I ended up driving downtown. And I'm on the phone at this point. I'm talking with Melissa, and we're kind of talking about where we can kind of go shoot the court scene and this, that, and the third. And God is like, park over here. It's just an empty parking lot. I park over there, and I said, Melissa, I gotta go. We'll talk about, where we can go, and you let me know what you find out. God is like, there's a building right there. Once you go over there, I don't even know what this building is. So I go over to the building. I literally walk in. The security guard is there. I'm telling her about what I'm looking for because it looked like a law office, like a law building. So I'm thinking, surely they might have some kind of trial area where you can kind of do a little court scene or whatever. Talking to her, she goes to try and find the business card, the person I need to talk to. There's an older gentleman that comes out of the elevator, and he's like, "Sir, can I help you?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, I'm here." And I give him my whole spiel about why I'm there. And he's like, "Oh, you need to talk to this person." And he said, "Call this person on Monday. Tell them I said it's good." And then he walks out and he leaves. So the security guard comes back. She's like, "Well, I can't find the business card of who you need." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Well, there was a gentleman that just left out of here." I said, "He told me to talk to this person and call him on Monday." And she was like, "Was he a white-haired gentleman?" I'm like, "Yes, ma'am." She was like, "Oh, that was the dean of the school. Oh, you good. If he told you to call so-and-so, call them, and everything is good. You ain't got to worry about nothing."
Following direction.
Now, had I done something else, we never would have got this space.
Yep. Exactly. Trust in the Lord. And when you trust and you take your hands off and let him do what he does, let him be God. I'm telling you, 1.5 is going to turn into something that you never even imagined. And guess what? When life speaks and all these people on the line tonight, we're going to be right there with you. We're going to be right there with you. Chris, thank you so much. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for letting us be a part of this journey. This is part 3 of what started back in December. And I'm telling you, I'm just proud of you. I'm happy for you. I'm grateful that we had the opportunity to connect and to be able to share these moments with you. If there was one thing, one encouraging word from one of your many lessons learned or whatever that you want to leave with those who have got something that they're pondering, thinking about, wanting to do, and maybe they haven't touched it yet, maybe they haven't really dealt with it yet, and you want to just leave them a little bit of encouragement tonight, what would that be? What would you tell them?
One word or just a compliment or a comment?
However it comes to you.
I will say this: trust God, trust the process, and know that God don't need a whole bunch of stuff to change your life. It takes one moment, one opportunity, and one conversation to change your life. Let God lead you, and I promise you, you will never, ever regret it.
Whew. That's enough right there. We can work with that for a while. Chris, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for your words of encouragement. And I'm going to pull you off now and go ahead and close out the show. But thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Best of everything. Best of everything. I'm not going to say best of luck. I'm going to say best of everything because there's so much more that God has in store for you. And I just can't wait to see what the next looks like.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
If this is the now, I can't wait for the next. I cannot wait for the next. So thank you so much, Chris, and we will be in touch. And
yes, ma'am. I love you. Thank you.
I love you too. Oh well, I tell you guys, that just did my heart good. I was glad to have Chris be with us tonight. I was glad about the things that he shared tonight. It can happen. Don't ever think that it can't happen, because it can. God already has a plan for you. He already has some in the works for you. He's already working some things together. So guess what? You hang in there. You listen for his voice and you follow his instructions and let him be God. Let him worry about the budget. Let him get the actors for you. Let him give you the story. Whatever it is it happens to be, put it in his hands and allow him to do what he does. Thanks for being with me tonight, and we'll be back here next week. Same time, same place. And I hope that you will come back and join us. And when you do, just get ready to receive. Turn down the volume of life. Get ready to receive, so that when uh, when life speaks, and it will, you'll be able to speak life. Thanks, everybody. Hang in there. Have an absolutely amazing